Hello and welcome to the Granger podcast. I am your host, Kirk Bjorland, City Administrator. On this podcast, we'll provide current updates on businesses, schools, public interest projects, and more.
Things that we are looking at that are great fits for Dallas County or for our communities in Dallas County are going to be advanced manufacturing, distribution, warehousing, or logistics sort of stuff. We have a significant amount of ag technology or agriculture industry occurring in the county, so we do see some opportunities for expansion in that and exploration in that. We do see still opportunity in making food for the world here.
Yes. Welcome back to the Granger podcast. I'm Kirk Bjorland, your host. With me today is Rachel Wacker with the Greater Dallas County Development Alliance. Rachel, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's fun to be here.
Thank you. We may just go right into talking about your team, talking about what your organization does. I know the City of Granger is thankful for your organization as we embrace growth in the area. It's been great to connect and look forward to utilizing your expertise more in the future, but you may go into a little bit about the Alliance and give us an update.
Yeah, so the Greater Dallas County Development Alliance is the economic development arm for all of the communities throughout the county, in addition to unincorporated or Dallas County itself. Right. So we were founded back in the late 80s by some landowners to the west of the metro in Dallas County who were just identifying that growth was going to be occurring out west, and so they wanted to make sure that they had some say in the direction that development would go. So that was the genesis of the organization. We've really focused on community development ever since then, focusing on site readiness, making sure there are what we would call in the industry a shovel-ready site, also marketing any available buildings or opportunities that are in our communities. In addition, we really try to meet our communities at their level and what their definition of economic development is for them, or economic vitality, because certainly the county is very diverse in representation or composition. We've got some significant suburban growers and players, but then you leave those western suburbs and it comes very rural. And so the needs are going to be completely different there, and we really just try to make sure that there's not a one-size-fits-all, and we bring our expertise and our subject matter knowledge to each community in that way. So we work attraction projects, we work retention, expansion projects. We do some things on the small business side. We interact with landowners, with our community leaders. And
it's exciting. It's an exciting time for Dallas County because you look at the eastern Dallas County, the population density and activity, and then as you travel further west, you have some of the small towns. So it's an exciting time, and we are seeing a boom on the west side and on the east side of Dallas County, but the west side of the metro, and it's coming all the way, all the way from Van Meter and up through West Des Moines and Clive and Urbandale and Waukee and Grimes, and we're beginning to feel the growth hit us in Granger. And as Johnson comes up the east side and Grimes is traveling up north, a lot of good things occurring. You may, as we get started, talk a little bit about your team and then a little bit about the board and the makeup of the organization.
Yeah, so we're a public-private partnership, so our communities do financially partner with us or contribute to the organization, but we also go out and we seek private supporters as well. And those industries kind of vary from, banking, construction, engineering, and other adjacent sort of industries. Some of our employers, our key employers throughout the county as well. We are a small but mighty team of 3, so it's myself and 2 other staff members. We have a senior project manager who works on when we receive requests for information for attraction projects and that sort of a thing. She will be the one that gathers that information, works with landowners or brokers or the communities to put together the information that they're asking for to review while they make business decisions for themselves. Additionally, she really does a great job of the data and research side of what we do. So if we're really trying to tell a story about something that has happened or is happening in the communities, she's done a wonderful job of researching all of the data and information that's out there, so that we are prepared and can share those resources with our communities and our members as well. And then we just brought on a new position. I shouldn't say just, I guess it still is new to me, but she's been in her role for about 9-10 months now. Working on some marketing and business attraction efforts for us, which is something that we identified as a significant opportunity for all of our communities throughout the county, not only to raise awareness about who we are, the Greater Dallas County Development Alliance, but who our communities are, and putting them on the map and showing why it's such a great place to live, or what the opportunities are for business and development.
Good. And then board makeup. What representation, private companies, cities, communities, county?
Yes. So we have quite a few cities, including the city of Granger, who sits on the board. And a majority of the other cities do have a seat on the board. And then certain investors, we kind of have a tiered membership level. And at one level, it does award you or allow you a seat on our board too. And what we do during our board meetings, with any nonprofit organization, we have business to conduct for ourselves to make sure that our operations are in line. And then beyond that, at the board level, we also discuss any project activity that's occurring. And then we're able to share that with our partners. In addition, we ask our communities to also share what updates they have in their communities, so that if there are ideas out there or opportunities for partnership, we're having that conversation at the board level too.
Good. Let's talk, the city of Granger, in our infancy and feeling that growth come, we've looked to the Alliance on a lot of things, anything from how do we market our sites? What does shovel ready look like? But to give a plug for the Alliance, you really can embrace any community, from a small community of Granger or Dallas Center, all the way to partnerships with Urbandale and Clive and Grimes. You may touch on some of those projects, or what, as rather you're a community looking, or you're a leader in a community, or you're a business, how might they utilize and take advantage of the resources and the connections that you can provide?
Yeah, so I'll say first, fun fact, Dallas County is the fastest growing county in the state of Iowa, and we are 4th in the Midwest and 7th in the nation. We're growing rapidly. And again, I think our larger growing communities are equipped to work that project flow that comes with that growth. And what we're seeing in those communities too, though, is there's still development opportunity on green space or greenfield land. And so that's where we come in, and we can do this with any community, but we can work with landowners or work with the communities to identify what they want to see go on there, and what their comprehensive plan or their master plan says is what they'd like to see there, whether it's housing, residential, or commercial, or industrial. And so that's kind of what we do for all of the communities, and what we're going to continue to do, because we have had a lot of exciting announcements over the past few years. Van Meter's experienced some significant growth on the data center side. We see other opportunities still in Dallas County to attract data centers. And now that we have that experience with placing data centers in Dallas County, we also know kind of what it takes on a site that would be attractive to data center development. And the reason that we see data center development as such an opportunity is because the job, we still ultimately in economic development want to see job creation and capital investment. But what we're recognizing too is that the state or Iowa just isn't bringing in the population right now for a workforce story. That tends to be a big challenge for a lot of the prospects or clients that we work with, is telling that workforce story
Right.
and making sure that we have the skilled or the skill sets, the skilled labor, but also the availability. So with data centers, they do have some really good jobs, very high paying jobs, but there's not as many of them as maybe like a manufacturer, that sort of thing would have.
Correct.
So we know we
Yep.
can accommodate that. And then we know what typically what the infrastructure requirements are. But what
Yep.
we see as the opportunity is that's a significant capital investment into a community.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the name of the game for communities to thrive is revenue generation. And with that revenue generation comes the opportunity for our communities to provide more resources and amenities and opportunities for their residents.
Right. Now you're speaking my language.
Yes.
Because part of that is, how do you, when you strategically grow, it's you're looking at a couple things. We get a little bit of pushback when you're a small community that is facing large growth opportunities and large growth struggles. We don't own the land, and I often say that in that, well, we want to stay small. We don't want to grow, but there's a struggle there because we don't own the land, and a lot of times, and Granger is a perfect example of that. We're surrounded by a lot of open acreages, and we have the Brenton Slough to the south. But if you look west of us, and you look north of us, and you look east of us, a lot of farmers that at this time don't have plans to turn that into anything. But you never know, and as that growth comes, so part of the you hear some pushback at times from data centers. They have, there is technology now that there isn't as big a burden on the cities to provide water capacity and storage, and they have new technology to provide that. But what is exciting for us from a community standpoint is you are chasing the jobs, you are chasing how do you increase your assessed valuation for our budgets, because as we do grow, then you do provide more police protection, fire protection, you provide more parks, you increase your library usage. So as populations increase, we're needing to provide more services. But the exciting thing for me for those businesses like a data center or something where they're putting up structures and they're putting up large valuations is that it doesn't always come with that other pressure. What are as your population expands, we're looking, we have some exciting things coming with Granger, and soon, there's some plans coming through on some housing developments. We've had some good development in the community in the last several years on the housing side. But when you look at attracting business, what's the focus that you're looking at, from a Dallas County perspective outside of the data center? What's kind of the general focus? Do you have maybe a projects you're looking at, or is there industry specific that you're looking at that we can talk about?
Oh yeah. So we data center as an industry sector is certainly something it remains an opportunity. But things that we are looking at that are great fits for Dallas County or for our communities in Dallas County are going to be advanced manufacturing, distribution, warehousing, or logistics sort of stuff. We have a significant amount of ag technology or agriculture industry occurring in the county. So we do see some opportunities for expansion in that and exploration in that. And I think for us, beyond the ones that are in food processing, I mean, when we look at Perry and what Tyson was and what's occurring now with JBS, we do see still opportunity in making food for the world here in the county. So those are the ones that we tend to focus on and tend to be great fits in our community or in our county. And then I think we'll probably this year, just with some changes that we're identifying from a state level with the programming from Iowa Economic Development Authority and some of the priorities that they're focusing on, I think we'll start taking a look at some other innovative type industries, maybe on the healthcare side, medical technology, and see if there's a play there too.
Are there any other? What are some of the recent success stories? You mentioned Perry.
Yeah.
That was a surprise on the region. I know you guys jumped in early and participated in that project. But with Perry, you may talk a little bit about that success story. Any others that come to mind? I want to give kind of the general listener, how might their community or how might their business get involved with the Alliance?
Yeah, so some of the celebrations, I'll start with the other, I'll finish with Perry.
Okay.
Over the past couple of years, we have had some great community celebrations. Again, I mentioned Van Meter with the 2 data centers that they were able to secure, one of them being Microsoft. The other is named COPT, C-O-P-T. And, that was really tremendous for them and a great announcement. Dallas Center was able to attract Brown Shoe Fit, and that is a local shoe retailer that I'm sure we're all familiar with. We do have a few locations within the metro area or in the region, and they do have a footprint outside of the state of Iowa too. So they were headquartered since inception really down in Shenandoah, Iowa. And they saw an opportunity to expand, and really that kind of plays again into the workforce story that we try to tell. They wanted to capture, be centralized and capture a workforce and be closer to the infrastructure, the transportation infrastructure, because they warehouse out of that location. So their headquarters is now in Dallas Center. And they've had a great experience with relocating there as far as opportunities for quality of life, diversity in community living, and what each of their employees' preferences for that. It's just been a great experience because of that blend of suburban and rural that's been occurring. We will have an exciting announcement, hopefully soon in Adel as well, on a project that we've been working on there. Good. So those are some of the recent ones on kind of a larger scale. And then we do have Perry, which is widely celebrated as a victory and as a rapid recovery for a community that just a couple years ago lost 1,300 people when Tyson announced that they were closing for good. Couple that with the devastation of a active shooter at the school, and it brought the community closer together, I'll say. Yep. So, back to the devastation that occurred because of the Tyson closure, we kind of decided to turn that into an opportunity. And that's what we try to do in economic development as well is, some people look at certain obstacles in their communities as if that prevents them from growing. Yep. We look at them and say, okay, but what's the opportunity here? What's the story we can tell to position that as something that someone could take advantage of or capture? And with Tyson, that's what we did. So instead of looking at it like a mass loss, we said, well, now we've got a workforce, because circling it right back to workforce again, that's not something every community can say. And that's on a national level. Yeah. There's not a lot of communities that can demonstrate to a company that these are our skill sets and this is how many folks are available to work that.
Workforce ready. Yep.
Furthermore, upon surveying the former Tyson employees, we discovered that the majority of them still wanted to work in an industry like that. So we knew that there was an appetite for food processing in the community. And that's when, and we really wanted it to happen at the Tyson facility because it's there and we'd like to see it up and running. Yep. But JBS, who ended up in the community, who is one of the nation and world's leading protein producers, saw an opportunity to reset that generational clock. They didn't want to go into that building and try to modernize it to what they're doing. They wanted to build from scratch. They wanted to again reset what what Perry's reputation is as far as food production goes, and it's state of the art facility. It's not. It won't be at first up to the scale of what Tyson was as far as employment goes, but I would anticipate it gets there over time. Yeah. And it's for us to, something we encourage communities to look at is diversification of industry. Yep. So having 1,300 people in one building is kind of risky. Right. And if we are able to attract multiple different industries to the area, they can kind of ebb and flow with each other without that significant loss or devastation if one were to downsize.
I think it's important to touch on, you've talked about small projects and large projects. So for communities, for private businesses, for the community of Granger, it can be a small operation. Mm-hmm. It can be a family-ran, 4 or 5 unit operation all the way up to a major corporation. And there's a role for the Alliance to play, and there are questions and solutions that you as a listener, as a business, as a community can utilize the Alliance. So I want to make 2 plugs. The first plug was for the Alliance on what they do, but the second is for the listener, for the Granger community in the area, is that if you have questions, anything from, if you're looking for land, the Alliance is a good source in that you can go ask and it can remain confidential. Yes. Where are you aware of anywhere from an acre to 500 acres that is within a 30-minute radius? Yeah. The Alliance is a great place to go because the Alliance can call each of our communities. Here's what I have. Here's what they're looking for, and it stays confidential, and you're not getting sold. Mm-hmm. And I'll say that because I also own a real estate company, and I know that times where we can pursue that lead, you can talk to the Development Alliance, you can talk to your community without having to go out and feel like the world's going to hear what your project is wanting to do. So and that can be at any scale. So it can be from if you wanted to start the next Subway, or you wanted to start your own sandwich shop or your own pizza place. By the way, listeners, we need more of that in the in the community of Granger. We've got a lot of school personnel. We've got a lot of companies, Absolute Group and others, bar none, down in our business park, and we do need restaurants. But anyway, for the listeners, I just think it's good to tell the Alliance story, both from listener perspective and a business. There are a lot of great resources, and I would encourage engagement.
Well, thank you for that plug. I mean, so there's a few things we kind of say around the office. One I always say is we're not in the business of saying no. Right. There's always, we might not have an answer, but we're the ultimate connectors, and we will, if we cannot find something for you, we'll make sure that we pass you along to someone that can further that conversation. Yep. So, we do respect business decisions. I appreciate you saying we're not here to sell. I mean, we're here to sell the community and make the communities great. Yeah. But what we're not going to do is wedge a client into something that they don't think is a good fit. Correct. At the end of the day, these are business decisions, and we just want to equip our whether it's a small business or a large industry or residents, we just want to equip them with information to support their decision-making process. Right. So those are definitely some key visions or priorities of ours. Mentioning small business, we've just started to implement a grant fund to either start up small business or to help expand small business operations throughout the county. And these funds can be used for anything from furniture and fixtures, marketing deployment or strategy, information like technology upgrades, like point of sale or those sort of things. And then any sort of training that they want to do too, if there's, if they want to send a staff member through training or that sort of a thing, that's available for the use as well.
Right.
And we're going to be announcing our second round in April for application. And this was kind of brought forward post-COVID. Obviously, we just started exploring it a few years ago. We used to have a revolving loan fund.
Right.
And we're a nonprofit organization. We are economic developers, not bankers.
Yep.
And I took a look at that fund and said, there's nothing special about it that our partner banks aren't already offering. And we would rather work with our partner banks than try to gap that investment. And so with our board, we worked on deciding or visioning what we could do with the funds. I mean, anywhere from just rolling it back into the general fund, operating expenses, or what's something cool that we could try that would really bring value back to the communities in a way that maybe isn't already available through, the small business support that's already out there. And what we did learn through surveying our small businesses is, grants, a couple $1,000s goes a very long way. There's certainly a lot of programming and loans and that sort of thing available, but oftentimes our small businesses don't have that cash to put back into their business. Right. And so that's where we found that we could make the most difference. And, when we award these funds, there's no follow-up. There's no us saying you must grow at this sort of a level. There's no compliance on it. We just see that if you put the money into your business, whether it's the bricks and mortar or into expanding your business itself, that's going to generate more value inside the county. Improving the building that you're in, or growing and expanding the business and bringing that business inside the county. And we really hope that our business community and our residents will continue to find the value in this program so that we can sustain it for years to come.
Let's talk about, so we've talked about the size of businesses, but let's give, and this may be a little bit unique to Granger. I think some larger communities have different departments that manage this, but I think you probably do a little bit similar to what I'm doing with the community of Granger. Is if someone has a question on housing, on zoning, on business, on land availability, where are utilities, they can go to, well, specifically, if you want to do that in Granger, call me. We'd love to have you. But with the Alliance, that you are a resource for outside, in the Dallas County area. If you have questions on, if you're in the housing market and you're looking, is there a community that is needing a specific type? If you're a business owner and you're looking at, where can I do this type of zoning? Where can I find hard surface roads? Where can I provide, what water system is big enough to handle the type of industry? Make touch on some of that, because the Alliance is a great resource to have those questions answered.
We are adjacent to all of those departments, resources, services. And I think sometimes what happens is, a resident or someone not familiar with the area maybe doesn't know what to ask for or how to ask for it or who to ask. And we encounter that every day, because we probably are very similar to a lot of folks too, in the sense that we're not in zoning every day, we're not in infrastructure every day, but because of the work we do, we kind of know who to ask or what to ask. And so certainly, if ever there is an inquiry or a curiosity about something, you're welcome to give us a call and we can point you in the right direction, or we might know the database or the location on a website or that sort of a thing that would have that information. And we can, to an extent, help you kind of translate or understand what the information says too.
And I think that's key. What I was getting at is, you're a resource to get to yes. So if you're a business that is looking for information, or perhaps you've asked the wrong department and you've received a no, you can call the community, you can call the city, you could call someone, but you can also call the Alliance, because you do partner. Many of those people are either on your board or you're working with, on a weekly basis. So I wanted to encourage that, because in the economic development world, we don't hit unless we're swinging, and we need businesses searching. We need you asking questions.
Yes.
We want to make it easy for you to develop. We just got to find where and what you want to do, and we need to know that information. And the Alliance, our community specifically as well, it's confidential information. We don't share that out. We'd love to have you come to the table and ask those questions.
Absolutely.
And we're glad to help. I'm glad to help. It doesn't have to be in Granger. It could be anywhere, in the metro.
Yeah. And what I would say, too, is our board is there to support, too. This is the beauty of a public-private partnership, is now that Granger is a member of the Alliance and has been a significant supporter for years, that provides access to a lot of our board members that are going to, once again, be subject matter experts and help you to explore your vision or your idea. A great example I have of that, and because it's confidential, I can't share who it was, but we did have a company that was interested in building a food processing operation in town. Or in the county. It's a brand that is very recognizable, but they outsourced the production side of it, but wanted to bring it in-house. And these guys, this business is not in the construction and building industry. So they really didn't know where to start as far as identifying what it would even cost or what it's going to take. And what we're able to do is bring our private partners to the table to say, hey, we've got this prospect, this client who's looking to build, to do this sort of an operation. You have this experience in food processing. Can you talk them through that? And that's, our private partners see the opportunity in that and the value in that, because, that gets them in the game, if you will. But that also, demonstrates to our clients that our communities know are connected in a way that they can help solve problems too.
Right. And it makes sense to note that it can be at a community level, at a small community like Granger. It can be at the county level or a larger community. But our operations, and specifically the Alliance, are connected with Debbie Durham and the economic development with the state. So we can provide that information if it's something that we don't know or information that we need to gather. And there are a lot of resources that Debbie and her team, that the state provides, that we're connected with. And that we can make those introductions. We can partner and sit next side by side with you to help guide that process.
Well, and Iowa Economic Development Authority has more than just industrial programming too. They are focusing on, we really take a page out of their book. They're focusing on the same things: quality of living, attraction, small business, innovation. And there's resources and programming at the state level for all of those opportunities. And sometimes I think we see economic development as a word and think smokestacks or large buildings and lots of jobs. But there's so many spokes in the economic development wheel. And again, that's our job to know what that is and what those resources are. And it is also our job to make everyone aware that they can come to us and lean on us to help them, advance their idea.
Yeah, and I think that's key. We'll kind of begin to wrap up here, but I think the beauty of that is we're here to strategically grow. We're here to help businesses, from small business, whether it's housing, industry, retail. We're here to help that grow. So, when I relate that back to our community, to Granger, we recently, Fairway has opened, and we've invested in infrastructure and sewer and water to get to some of our mixed-use development plans. We put in roads. We have a new school coming. We have a land use plan coming. So through all of that, we've leaned on the Alliance and others and state economic development. But I just want to make sure the audience knows that ask the questions. We don't want to do anything that's not strategic or planned, but we are here to help you. And I think for the listener, what a great resource The Alliance has been and will continue to be. And I just encourage the listeners, if you have a question, give the Alliance a call.
Oh, yeah.
Ask any questions. Anything you want to touch on that we haven't talked about?
I'll just say I am impressed with the growth and opportunity that is in Granger and occurring in Granger. I do think, you touched upon Fairway, and I think what it's important for listeners to know is like when infrastructure is put in for a project like that
Right.
just opens up further opportunity for other development to also come in. And you hit it again. We want to be strategic and sustainable with our growth and our planning for growth.
Correct.
So, if there is a market demand or an opportunity that's been identified by the community, that's certainly something that we want to take into consideration if we're already out networking and focusing on business attraction anyways. So I am excited for the opportunities that Granger is creating. I do think for this next year, again, we're really focusing on identifying sites
Right.
that we can start marketing. And I think that Granger just checks a lot of boxes for the partners and the clients that we've been interacting with.
Yeah, the fun part for us is with all the success that has happened in the metro and on that west side, we're not 100% just copy and paste. But I get the luxury of looking, and we're being somewhat selective,
Yeah.
but we're being strategic. But we also get the luxury of looking what's been happening coming up
Oh, yes.
that west side. Look at how much Van Meter is taking off, and the West Des Moines expansion, and what Waukee has experienced, and Clive and Urbandale and
Even
Grimes.
Grimes is just a great example of it.
Yeah, a great partner. We lean on Grimes often, asking questions and partner on a lot of things. But we do a lot of copy and paste. What might work. We keep a keen eye to what does the community need and want. We're not there to just grow, but we're there. What are those strategic things that we need? So we're currently working on a marketing plan with our Granger Economic Development Association, helping to lead that, and we'll be looking probably to go to a third party to help us put that plan together. And what that plan will say is why Granger? Anything from housing expansion to business expansion, what lots are available. We have mixed use land available, we have housing land available, we have industry land available, and big box and 174 acres on the west side of town that we're pursuing some things with. So a lot of good opportunity, but I do want to, it's great for us to get to partner with the Alliance and to be able to lean on other communities who have done it before us. But I appreciate you coming and speaking with us.
Of course, happy to. We love Granger. Yeah. We enjoy working with you, Kirk, and we appreciate your support of the Alliance as well.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Granger Podcast. Make sure to follow us on social media for updates on the next show, and we'll see you on the next episode. The Granger Podcast, empowering success and fueling growth.